In this presentation, I'm going to talk about this subject, good and bad teachers, a subject that is not covered in national media, in my opinion. Let's start with boring statistics. There's so much statistics out there, but all of them basically around the same. They have the same information. Here is by education.org. It listed that 41.9, that 42 million Americans will drop with college dropouts in 2022, and also the college it indicated that 39% of the first-time full-time bachelor degree seekers will drop out. That is unacceptable, and I'm sure all these people are not stupid. So there is something wrong with the system. Another website listed here I listed listed that 48% of female drop out of a class due to the teacher, so they didn't like the teacher, didn't get along, didn't think the teacher was fair, and 52 of male students do the same. A disclaimer before we start, this is my opinion. There are many reasons for failure, and I believe you're ultimately responsible and for both success and failure, what I meant by here, and you need to keep going and try to better yourself no matter how great the challenges are. So you as an individual have the bulk of the responsibility about your success, but at the same time, if you went to, I remember a guy friend of mine who went to engineering school, chemical engineering, in a very good college here in town, and in the end, the last classes, he fell out with the dean, and the dean told him that he have tenure, so he basically told him he gonna fail him no matter what. Luckily for my friend, he had family support, so he just moved to a different college. He lost few classes, but he graduated with the same degree. He moved out of state. It cost him money and headache and all this, but he graduated, and now he have a master in engineering, in chemical engineering. So that guy didn't stop him, but I know if it happened to me, I would have never had the means to do so. Let us talk about the effect of having a bad teachers. Let's talk about the effect of having a bad teacher. Stress, which can affect both personal and professional life. Delay in graduation, so you have to not take with that teachers, a dropout, not take from that teacher, avoid them, and it's gonna cause you delay. I definitely caused me a delay when I was training for a few things. Dropout, which result both financial and psychological hardship. It's really hard when you drop out, especially if you go to a program for a long time and you're about to graduate and you drop out in the end. Usually you'll carry emotional scar after that, because all those people who were your friends have moved on to better jobs or to their jobs in the field that you thought you'll be in. So these things does happen and have a price. I want to stress that a teacher job is to help you learn. This is the very basic premise of a teacher. Otherwise, if you have a teacher that doesn't care, doesn't want to help you, doesn't try to help you, and sometimes teacher that hinder you, that is a failure, a big failure of their job. That's not your problem. That is the teacher problem. And a failure to provide good teacher is a failure of the educational institute, and we'll talk about that in depth later. But it is, in my opinion, it is a bad teacher and a bad institution. They go hand in hand. A failure that we pay for as a society. We listed earlier the statistics, and it's shameful that so many people will will go and then endeavor paid money and time and not succeed. It's okay if you didn't succeed because you're not able to succeed, but if part of your failure of those 49 million was due of a bad teacher, if it's 20% of it, that's a huge amount of people, and that's a loss for our economy, a big loss for our economy. Let's talk about what a good teacher does. Minimum, explain and help you learn the subject. That is the minimum qualification for any teacher, whether it is a tutor, whether it is a vocational school, a PhD teacher, a teacher with postgrad. That's the minimum job. If they can't do that, they are no teachers. They are just people who are like getting paid for a job they don't do. Teach you the industry, teach you about the industry which you will be involved in. So this is another thing, especially in professional training and vocational training. They part of the teaching experience or going to those schools is to learn not just about the subjects themselves, but to learn about what to expect, to be ready, to prepare you to be ready for the job market. Because let's face it, not all of us go to college just for the fun of it. All of us go to college because we have dreams to work in those fields. So a better teacher, let's put it this way, not just explain the subject, but give you a heads up what to expect. A good teacher will provide mentorship and can be a role model. Maybe I should have worded differently. A great teacher, not many of us have that, but it would be not if you bump into few in your life and they really, it's amazing to have that, So I'm gonna talk about, I have two examples of good teachers. The first, when I went to lab school during the time of recession, I remember it's been almost 20 years, but I already was a student before that recession happened, but I did finish during that time, and the core classes were taught by 3 teachers and 1 lab teacher. All of them were great teachers. I learned from them the technical aspect I needed to do the work. I learned with them about the industry and how it worked. So I did, because many of them had extensive relationship with the industries in my area. They helped me get experience. They made sure we found, I had minimum, you have to do 2 practicums at the time. They call it practicums or internships, which about 3 months each or 6 months each, can't remember now, and 1 shadowing experience. So by the time I graduated, I had even a little bit of work experience, which came very handy, especially when you graduate during the time of a recession. None of these teachers were perfect. They had weird quirks about them and stuff, but that showed that you don't have to be perfect to be a good teacher, or even to be a great teacher. But they really cared about their students. And I think perhaps because they are from a different generation, they were all of them, with the exception of one, were from a different generation, Vietnam vets. They viewed their job as, I won't say sacred, but they did view their job as meaningful. They want their student to succeed in the workforce. The teacher were fair. I'm sure they had favorites and stuff, but they didn't go out of their way to fail you if you disagree with them and stuff like that. One bad thing is I thought they made the program a little bit hard and rigid, but they made those rules and they stuck with them, and those rules were for everybody, so it was fair. Another good example, I went to once to vocational school to become a pharmacy tech, which I did, and the teacher was fair and she tried to be helpful. The teacher provided information best of her ability. I like that, the fact that sometimes she said I didn't know, which is a good thing, because as a pharmacy tech there is many settings where you probably cannot cover all of it, and she was a younger individual. The class lecture was professional. It was, I believe, through the NHA, and it had the right information for you to pass the board. Here, where the teacher was given the right support to do her job. So the right support meaning the class, the academic section, because this was a vocational school, so the academic section was very clear, and her main job was to go over the material covered in the online portion. So we will meet. That vocational school was set up that we meet for the 3 to 4 hour class every weekend, or every other weekend, something like that, and we go over the sections that we did. We had to finish those sections, the online section, before we go to those classes, and there will be a lab section that she would demonstrate and have us practice. So overall, I thought, that vocational school did a good job finding a good employee, which is the teacher, and really helped her with the academic section, and allow us all who take the class to come with sufficient knowledge to be able to work and be competent in as a pharmacy tech. So you don't have to be the greatest teacher on earth, but you have to have those traits that you have to be fair and helpful, and you have to have support. Okay, a bad teacher experience. This is the worst one I experienced during the COVID era. After I thought maybe I should change career, I went to nursing school. I took the few classes online, and I had to take one class that was clinical. And here where I discovered they didn't want me to. Anyway, here's where the conflict began. A teacher was mad at me for insisting that my patient was missing her medication, because that same teacher cleared the medication table. She wanted to go on break, I remember. And I told her, we have to, I'm not going to document that I didn't give that medication unless that individual. And she got so mad, because she had to report the loss of medication. The medication was not like a controlled substance, but it was needed for that very sick patient, and she failed me that session, not the class, that session. And as a result, I went to complain, to raise the issue, and because I knew I'm gonna have her in the next session, and this lady gonna be vindictive. No support from the dean, the head teacher. They didn't want to hear it. I guess this is a nurse thing. They stick together, and as a result, I did leave the program, and it's been years since, but I still feel crushed by that experience. Every time I drive, there's a small town I go to often, and I drive, and there's like a hospital, and I glimpse the hospital, and I say, oh, I could have been a person working there. I didn't do the to become a rich person, but I thought I will be very good uh, in that role, and maybe I'll provide help. But anyway, it never meant to happen. But I came out of this that a bad teacher or perhaps a product of a bad program. And I will share my second experience, which is demonstrate the same thing. This was just a class. After that nursing thing didn't work out, I thought, since I'm in school, I better take something, and I did. They had a program, computer programming, and I did it, and I took up to higher level classes, and there was this teacher I took with him. I did pass the class, but he was so terrible, that I thought to myself, I need to report this. I did report to the program chair. I did not take my next class with him because he was the only person who teach the online class. Indeed, I had to set out 2 semesters in order to find a different teacher. So, because there's in 2 semesters time, there would be at least a night class that is not taught by that person. The chair did respond to me, but did not offer me the response to me in a good way, asked me to clarify, which I did. Did not offer me any alternative for classes or any. They didn't care, basically. They just want to keep it on record, which is fine, as long as I'm sure other students will complain, and hopefully if enough people complain about that teacher, because somebody have to say it, they don't have to, they will take actions. I hope they do, but as far as I know, they didn't. Again, a bad teacher perhaps is a product of a bad program, and in this case, it's this experience caused me a little bit of discomfort, because I had to delay graduation because of one individual that but it is what it is. Sometimes you have to do what you believe is right. Teacher quality is a real problem. A bad teacher can cause you to drop or delay graduation. A bad teacher is a matter of financial waste to individual and the economy at large. A bad program have bad teachers. Bad teachers often are supported by bad or poorly run institutions. When an institution only want your tuition money and not focus on their student success. And this is true. This is sad, but it is true. This is what happened. They just want your money. They provide you a subpar, and this often happen in public schools. I hear in like fly-by-night colleges, for example, it's not that they just provide you with watered-down information, so you get a degree but without the skills. That's a different subject, but I find that this is a problem with like state colleges and big colleges. They just, because they have so many students, so they have always somebody taking classes, so they don't care if you quit, stay, get depressed, good teacher often result in success. A success to pass a class should be succeeding in passing a class should be based on your ability and hard work. A teacher's job is to help you understand and succeed in learning the material. A great teacher is an amazing thing to have for the few of us who have them. For those of us who are lucky enough to have great teachers, we know that great teachers are also mentors and role models. And that is it for this section, and I hope you find it informative. I hope you guys have a good day.